story. There is not. There is not any political Messiah out there who can save us, who can quench this thirst that we have inside. Long ago, Moses went through this sort of thing with the people of Israel. And it's amazing as we read about that story. God miraculously delivered the Israelites from Egypt. Moses raised his hand and his staff, the sea separated. They walked between the walls of the Red Sea and they escaped. But it wasn't long after that they immediately complained to Moses that they needed food. Instead of remembering all that God did to get them out of there and trusting in God, they came to Moses and complained. And God patiently provided manna and quail for them. Not long after that, with the first inkling of thirst in their throats, this is what happened. Exodus 17:3. But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock die of thirst?" Instead of remembering God's miraculous deliverance, instead of remembering God's provision for them and trusting in God, they immediately went to Moses and complained. Then Moses cried out to the Lord, "What am I to do with these people? They are almost ready to stone me." They even threatened Moses' life. They failed to understand that only God can meet their needs, physically and spiritually. If you trust in a frail human being, even if they are considered a great leader, to meet your deepest needs, you have gone to the wrong well. The Lord answered Moses, "Go out in front of the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I will stand before you by the rock at Oreb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel. Notice that in both circumstances, it was God who provided for the Israelites. God provided the quail and the manna. God provided the water from the rock. Moses was their leader, their mediator, but God met their needs, and God did it patiently. God wanted the Israelites to grow spiritually. God wanted the Israelites to learn that He is the one who will meet their needs. God wanted them to become deep people of faith and lights to the world. But they needed to learn to come to the right well. And that's the lesson that the woman in John chapter 4 also needed to learn. We don't know her name. We know that she was an outcast. She was a misfit in her society because of her checkered past. She had been in and out of many relationships with different men. Perhaps she was looking for some man to fulfill that deep need inside of her. Good luck with that, right, ladies? That's not going to happen. Anyway, she came to the well to get water, and it was about noon. Most people came to the well early in the morning. She came at noon, and I'm guessing it was to avoid people. I suspect that she probably had heard enough gossiping and whispering and slander directed toward her that she had been conditioned to come to that well about noon. She probably never expected to see Jesus sitting there. She certainly didn't expect Jesus to talk to her because she was a Samaritan woman and he was a Jewish man. Any interaction between them was taboo. So when he asked her to give him a drink of water, she was shocked. She more or less said, "You know the rules. How can you ask me for a drink of water?" Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that asked you for a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. Well, immediately we discover that this woman and Jesus were not on the same wavelength. She was focused on the physical realm, physical water that would meet her physical thirst. Jesus was talking about a deeper need, a spiritual need. And that didn't surprise Jesus, because he knew that this woman had come to the wrong well all her life. She said, "How are you going to give me living water? You don't even have a jar or a bucket to retrieve water from this deep well." Jesus answered, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life." And then Jesus and this woman got into a theological discussion, and it becomes clear to this woman through this discussion that this Jesus is the Messiah. Somehow he knew everything about him. He offered her this living water, and she had an epiphany, an aha moment. She understood that because he was the Messiah, through him, God would welcome her into God's kingdom and fill her life to overflowing with God's life. Now, how do we know that she came to this place of spiritual illumination in her life? How do we know that? John 4:28 and 29 says this: "Then leaving her water jar, the woman went back to the town and said to the people, 'Come see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah?'" There's a little detail in that verse that tells us. It says, "Then leaving her water jar, the woman went back to town. She came to Jacob's well to fill her jar with water to meet her physical thirst, but that well could not satisfy her spiritual thirst. However, there she found a well of living water. Jesus filled the jar of her heart to overflowing. And when she left the empty jar behind, she left the empty life behind. Jesus calls us to the well. Even in this crazy, mixed up, unstable, scary world, Christ can fill us to overflowing. Amen. Let's turn to our final hymn. Hymn number 176, Lead Me to Calvary.
Lest I forget
like to join us down there. Let us receive the benediction, and I'm going to walk out and just head downstairs since we're not shaking hands for a while. So I'll see you downstairs if you come down there. Now to him who is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask, think, or even imagine, we give honor and glory forevermore. Amen.